I think that when you read a lot of this activity about associates, there is a fine line between people who want to be part of something that they never had an official role in and people who actually played a role in either the campaign or the transition.
The White House is going to great lengths to distance itself from former associates in the face of an FBI investigation into whether there were connections between the Trump campaign and Russia. Former high-ranking advisors are now being portrayed as peripheral players, as each one of them has either been linked to the Russians or is suspected of having those links. General Michael T. Flynn resigned as Trump's national security advisor after revelations that he had misled Vice President Michael Pence about the nature of his conversations with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak.
Former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Michael Flynn.
General Flynn spoke in favor of Trump at the Republican National Convention, but White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer tried to insist that his role during the campaign was modest at best.
General Flynn was a volunteer of the campaign.
General Flynn may have been a volunteer, but he was a frequent speaker at Trump rallies and a campaign surrogate before becoming national security advisor. Spicer also tried to significantly downplay the role of Paul Manafort, who has long-standing ties to Russian interests.
And then obviously there's been this discussion of Paul Manafort, who played a very limited role for a very limited amount of time. But beyond...
But are you the chairman of the
campaign? Jonathan, hold on. Can you stop interrupting other people?
Paul Manafort didn't play a limited role.
Jonathan.
And Carter Page, another campaign staffer who was named a foreign policy advisor, was also found to have had undisclosed conversations with Ambassador Kislyak at the Republican National Convention.
Carter Page is an individual who the president-elect does not know and was put on notice months ago by the campaign.
Mr. Spicer was not alone in the dissociation game.
Carter Page, I've never met Carter Page. To the best of my knowledge, the President of the United States has never met Carter Page. Carter Page is a person who's going out telling everybody that he was part of the campaign. He had no formal role in the campaign. He had no role whatsoever in the campaign. He had nothing to do with the campaign.
Wasn't
and many,
he a foreign
people,
policy advisor?
A former communications director for the Trump transition team tried mightily to distance the administration from J.D. Gordon, who also had undisclosed contact with the Russian ambassador, also at the Republican National Convention.
About that, so when I heard J.D. Gordon's name, with all due respect to Mr. Gordon, I had to look him up on Wikipedia. I didn't even know who this guy was.
In fact, Mr. Gordon endorsed Mr. Trump and advised the campaign on national security matters.
Mr. Stone is somebody the president has known for a long time.
Perhaps the highest-profile Trump associate to have interacted with Russia is Roger Stone, who has acknowledged being in contact with the online persona Guccifer 2.0, an alleged hacker who some American officials believe is a front for Russian intelligence. As a close friend, Roger Stone nurtured the idea of a Trump campaign for 3 decades and served as his campaign advisor for several months. But now that Stone is suspected of having been in contact with the Russians, it's a different story.
But they had a long relationship going back years where they would provide counsel. And again, I played a role early on in his campaign, but ended that role in August of 2015. And I don't know at all when the last time they even spoke was.